25 yards in his 5 drives and only had 1 first down. So Coy Detmer was expecting a little more than that.
2nd down and 10 of the 12. You know, and Detmer has that helmet on as well. So there's the sign of a guy who says, you know, I got to get back in the game. I can't end it this way.
Well, he's talking to Donovan McNabb about it, and I think he's probably not going to get back in the game. I think that Andy Reid all along thought that Detmer would play into the 4th quarter, and then he would play Jeff Blake in the 4th quarter.
McNabb telling us last night, I got to get Coy on the horse
98 defense, simulating the cadence, 15-yard penalty, first down.
Brian Howard. You know, the other story about Detmer we never got to. Coy Detmer travels with the clothes on his back, his playbook, and a toothbrush, period. He doesn't even travel with toothpaste. He gets that from the concierge. I'll tell you one thing. U.S. Airways will never lose his luggage. At least he's never checked any luggage.
That's all he takes. I couldn't believe that he doesn't take toothpaste either. You know, I mean, I knew that, you know, he just took the toothbrush. And I said, well, what do you do for toothpaste? He said, well, when I get there, I go to the front desk and get toothpaste. I didn't know that front desks in hotels had toothpaste.
Now, well, it depends what hotel you're in.
Yeah.
Now, the hotels that the team stay in would normally have toothpaste.
I've never thought of that. I mean, if I've ever lost toothpaste or forgot it, I always go to the gift shop. But I've never thought I need toothpaste, I'm going to go to the front desk.
If you have the Four Seasons, they give you like a big tube of toothpaste, not one of those phony mini jobs. Here's Blake throwing deep, and the ball hanging, and the pass is incomplete. And the crowd wants interference, offensive, and won't get anything.
Boy, did he get hit on that one just as he threw it by Anthony Hargrove. Is it right here? And again, you're going to see that he has a time, and just as he threw that, Hargrove hits him, and I think that's why the ball was a little short. Watch this. I mean, Hargrove is on his back, has his left arm and part of his right arm and shoulder.
Now the rule says if the first contact is tangled feet, there is no call. So the question now becomes, did their feet get tangled? And the non-call would be right. 2nd and 10, and now you've got the clock ticking down and a timeout call.
Delay a game.
No,
offense, 5-yard penalty, still 2nd down.
That happens quite a bit. You know, when you get your 3rd quarterback in there, it's going to happen. But after a long, incomplete pass, you don't get right back there, get in a huddle, and you wait for everyone to get in there, and then you don't get your play call up to the line of scrimmage, and you just run out of play clock.
2nd and 15. The ball is at the 22-yard line. Philly scored on its opening drive. Nothing since. Blake throws into traffic, and that's incomplete. Intended for L.J. Smith, 3rd and long. Let's go to Michelle.
Well, before joining the Eagles this season, as you mentioned, Al, Jeff Blake played for 5 other teams, 114 career games, but never on Monday Night Football. So when the Eagles were down in Dallas in mid-November, when we were there for Monday Night Football, Coy Detmer and Donovan McNabb lobbied Andy Reid to let Blake come in the game. So Reid put the 3rd stringer in for 2 plays, and Blake was so thrilled he had all his teammates sign his cap. That was for 2 plays, Al. What do you think he'll do for a quarter?
For a quarter, he'll send the videotape to Canton.
I think the first thing he ought to try and do is win the game.
3rd down and 15. Reno Mahe. Well, if he wins the game, he's liable to wind up on the horse trailer, which is as good as going to Canton.
Right, and it won't be Coy Detmer.
Right.
Like you said last night, Donovan McNabb said, we want to get Coy Detmer on the horse trailer, and that's not going to happen. But there's something, you know, I don't know. I mean, you know, at some point there's something wrong with this. I mean, I think that you have the best team in the conference playing a regular season game like this. I just don't think it's right.
Well, it's the vagaries of the playoff system and the seeding and all that as it's juggled by Sean McDonald and then gathered in, and there's a flag down.
I mean, I don't always agree with it in preseason. I mean, I don't think you can ever get to the point in the game where you're afraid to play. You know, where it gets to be a negative. I don't want you to play because you're going to get hurt, because when guys start thinking that they're going to get hurt by playing the game, then they got to get out of the game.
And stay sharp too. I mean, it's a month
We have a member of the
meaningful
kicking team
games.
going out of bounds on his own, number 89. The penalty is declined. First down.
Rams ball. Well, one Mr. Detmer did wind up on the trailer 2 years ago with a performance in San Francisco.
ESPN Sport Legends presents the New York Yankees. Despite the fact that baseball is an American sport that has not gained worldwide popularity, everywhere around the world, people know of the New York Yankees.
The Yankees had all the money, they had all the good scouts, they had the best players, they had the best coaches and managers. The Yankees did everything right.
The Yankees represented success, and people like to root for success. Even if you hated them, I'd like the idea of being somebody that good.
The Yankee dynasty goes from the early 20s to the mid-1960s. Forget about it. If you want to compare that to something, start with the Ming dynasty.
The Yankees won 20 championships between 1922 and 1962. They've added 6 since, including 4 in the last 9 years.
They have developed the most amazing mystique, the most amazing kind of consciousness of baseball.
Best of Friday Night Fights on ESPN. In 2002, Southpaw Kasim the Dream Umo was an up-and-coming star in the light middleweight division when he faced an experienced Michael Lerma on his way to a top 10 ranking. Fridays on ESPN.
But this game. The ESPN schedule concludes this Sunday night at 8:30 Eastern Time when the Dallas Cowboys face off against the New York Giants, and that'll be the final game of the 2004 regular season. Of course, the other New York team, the Jets, still very much in playoff contention and controlling their fate because they will be coming in here. Win will cement a playoff spot for the Jets. A loss, and they could still get in, but they would be in jeopardy of dropping out. First down from the 34-yard line. Bolger, after turning his shoulders to avoid the sack, will take a step out of bounds at the 35-yard line.
That was one of those things that this is maximum protection. The reason there was no one open here for Bolger is he only had 2 men in the pass pattern. You see the tight ends blocking, you see the backs blocking, and he only has 2 guys running routes, so they aren't open, so then he has to wait and hold the ball and then eventually run. See, there's a receiver on one side, here's a receiver on the other side. You would have had that one on the no, there's the tight end blocking, the fullback blocking, and the tailback blocking.
Second down and 9. Jackson. Andy Reid, a great Monday night record. Andy 8-1, and if he can win the game tonight, he would become the current record holder. That record at the moment is owned by my partner, who was 11-1-1 in 13 appearances on Monday night.
Huh. I would go to heck. No, we love to play on Monday night. I mean, I felt, it was all about the players, and they always played well because I always felt they like to show off.
Still do. 3rd and 11. Bolger throws, and that's into Eagle territory. Kevin Curtis makes the catch and then loses the football. And the Eagles will get it with Matt Ware recovering it. So that would have come close to, I don't want to say cementing it for the Rams, but they would have been driving. They already lead by 10, and now all of a sudden, here come the Eagles again. They'll start from about midfield.
Yeah, the pass protection did what they had to. Mark Bolger did what he had to. Kevin Curtis did what he had to initially, and then not at the end.
The NFL on ESPN. 2 games each and every week. Oh, that hurts. These guys are tough. Yes. Oh, yeah. Oh, my. Oh. The NFL on ESPN. 3 minutes of punishment. 10 rounds of action. And sometimes you can describe them as the best rounds of the year. We're searching through our collection and choosing what we consider to be the best of Friday night fights. Every week, only on ESPN.
Simply the finest football on the planet. The top clubs. The elite players. In a quest for the ultimate prize of European football. The UEFA Champions League on ESPN. The NBA on ESPN continues Friday night. Allen Iverson is racking up the points around the league. But will the numbers add up against Carmelo Anthony and the Nuggets? Sixers versus Nuggets, live Friday night. The NBA on ESPN.
Todd Pinkston, you look at his numbers on the season. Of course, it's been an Owens-dominated receiving group for Philadelphia, but he will be a very key guy in terms of postseason play for Philadelphia this year. Thomas Tapay comes in as the running back. 47-yard line, first down. 49-yard line. Gain of 2. Pinkston has been in the spotlight to an extent that I'm sure he doesn't appreciate. This play in Washington, which he contends was a ball he lost in the lights, and a lot of fans think he just shied away from contact. Subject much discussed in the city of brotherly love, without a lot of love.
I mean, maybe he did, but he's still their wide receiver. I mean, he's still their starting wide receiver on the opposite side of Terrell Owens when he's there, and he's going to be in there with Freddie Mitchell, and I mean, he still has to do it. And I'll tell you one thing, and it goes back to why they got Terrell Owens. When you have Todd Pinkston in there, every defense just plays him physically. And that's where they get the corners up there, and they beat him because they don't think that that he can get away from the bump or the
illegal
press.
Snap, center. 5-yard penalty. Second down.
And remember last year's championship game in Carolina, that's what they thought. I think that's where this emphasis rule came in, is they were just going to get up there and just ball Pinkston. Just get on the line. Don't let him off the line. Don't let the receivers out. Then they get Terrell Owens. Terrell Owens would just run right through that. Now that they don't have them, I think defenses are going to go back to doing that to him.
And there's a sack fumble, and the Rams pick the ball up. Bryce Fisher with the sack, and Pisatino East Samoa recovers and runs it down to the 30-yard line for the St. Louis Rams.
There's Aeneas Williams. He likes that one. Bryce Fisher starts it. He runs right by Artis Hicks. Looks like Artis Hicks doesn't even get out of his stance. Here he is right here. Here's Hicks. Hicks doesn't even move. He's still standing on the line of scrimmage. Bryce Fisher goes right by him and gets that strip sack. Holy moly, I have no idea what Artis Hicks was thinking. I mean, he had to think it was on 3 and it was snapped on 1. I mean, he was still in his stance when Bryce Fisher was all over Jeff Blake.
Rams' first takeaway of the night, 15th in 15 games. They are way off last year's pace when they led the league with 46 takeaways. They have a third of that at this point, and Torrey Holt makes the catch and takes the ball to the 26-yard line. Eagles get the break on the turnover and then turn it right back.
The Eagles are playing backups, and I'm surprised that the Rams just don't blow them out here. I mean, the Eagles aren't playing well because they're disorganized. They're not playing their regulars. Guys haven't played together. But the Rams, on the other hand, they have to win. There has to be some urgency here, and I don't think they're playing too well. I mean, they don't look like they're really going after it to get to be a playoff team.
And they have to win tonight and then beat the Jets next week as well. Steven Jackson will pick up the first down as he gets to the 20-yard line.
Let's go back to that Artis Hicks play again and just watch. Here he is here. And again, this is playing and not playing, playing guard and tackle. But here the ball is snapped. Everyone's playing, and he's still in the stance. He never did get out of it. Now, I've never seen that before. I mean, guys get off late. They think it's on 2 and it's on 1. Those kind of things. But at some point, you get going.
Or you're daydreaming. I mean, that was bizarre. Steven Jackson, who was limping off earlier, and this time much more severely. So he comes off again, 1st and 10. That means Falk is in the backfield. Marshall has 52 yards tonight on 12 carries. Jackson 148, so the pair of them have 200 yards. Now they have 202.
One of the things I think Mark Bulger is doing is changing up his snap count because of those Eagle blitzes. You know that you're going to get a lot of blitzing when you play the Eagles, but you know you're really going to get a heavy dose once you get inside the 20 or the red zone where the Rams are right now.
A little streak is in jeopardy right now. Marshall Faulk has not caught a pass tonight. He has at least 1 reception in 158 regular season games, longest ever by a running back, and the longest current streak in the league. And that's every game he's ever played with the Colts and the Rams. Flag again, a ton of jumping offside and false starts.
I think, again, that's Mark Bulger doing a good job with the snap count. Changing it up and going on a long count, making them declare their blitzes so that blockers can see where they're coming from.
95, defense lined up in the neutral zone. 5-yard penalty, still 2nd down.
See, again, you see him on that first hut. McDougal jumped on the first hut, and the ball was snapped on the second hut. The thing you give, that strong hut, that first one, you give it strong, you kind of bob your head a little. McDougal hears it and maybe goes on the head bob, maybe just goes on that strong count.
What's the origin of hut? Why'd they pick the word hut?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think it's short for hike. I think it used to be hike, and then it was changed to hut, and then just kind of.
I'll buy that. Quick slant. 1st down. Isaac Bruce makes the catch. It'll be 1st and goal at the 5.
That's where Bulger is so good, getting that ball out of there quickly. Here's Isaac Bruce as the inside receiver. Is going to come here and just run this slant, and he does that as well as anyone. And you see when that corner or that defender is that far off, Bulger sees it and knows he's going to get back, and he's going to get that ball out of there right now. There was no one that was in position to make a play on it.
1st down and goal at the 5. The Eagles show blitz. Here they come, and that forces the quick pass. And so it's almost as if Bulger knows that Falk hasn't caught one, tries to get it to him and can't. 2nd down and goal.
Well, I know what he saw. He saw man-to-man out there, and I think that he was thinking that Marshall Faulk was either going to run a fade or something outside, and Marshall Faulk comes inside. Here he is out here. You see it's just man-to-man. He wants to throw it to him. Marshall Faulk runs a slant, and Bulger threw it outside like he was running an out.
Second and goal from the 5. Falk pushed back 3-yard line, and there's another flag at the end.
Marshall Faulk has a quickness and the cuts, but he doesn't have that finishing off like Steven Jackson has.
Matt Ware slow in getting up.
Holding. 44 offense. 10-yard penalty, still 2nd down.
Joey Goodspeed.
He's the lead back or the fullback on that play. You see Joey Goodspeed is right here, and you see he's going to kind of come in and lead right there. Oh, that's a great block. Holy moly. Yeah. What the heck are they talking about here? You draw that up like that. Oh, I see it there. He had both hands behind him, didn't he? But that's the way you want. And when you can flatten someone on their back, that's what you want. But it looked like he did have both arms out.
Second down and goal from the 15-yard line. And Holt loses the football. And I think he's able to get it back himself. Ball comes squirting out. All of the Eagles surrounded it. And Holt reaches out and secures it for St. Louis.
I'll tell you one thing about Torrey Holt and Isaac Bruce. Once they catch the ball inside, they go down themselves. And this usually doesn't happen because they get down so quickly. That time, Torrey Holt stayed up a little longer than he usually does, and the ball comes out of there.
Michael Lewis will be going to the Pro Bowl stripped, and it's a great play by Holt to reach out and get the ball and keep it in St. Louis's hands.
Yeah, you don't practice recovering fumbles on your stomach a lot.
No. Third down and goal from the 8-yard line. The fake, and Marshall Faulk can't go anywhere, so they'll have to settle for a Wilkins attempt, which would make it a 13-point game.
Yeah, Mike Martz got a little conservative there. That's where they run that pump draw. He comes back and he fakes the slant. See him fake the slant, then comes back and hands on the draw. But if they're coming on a pass rush anyway and coming up the middle for Mark Bulger, they're going to be in the middle for the draw play.
Jeff Wilkins now a 29-yard field goal attempt. Missed one from 44. The make was from 28 just before the half. And it's a 13-point lead, but still just a 2-possession instead of 3-possession game, which would have clearly wrapped it up. 5:24 remaining in the fourth quarter. From St. Louis, Missouri.
Minutes of punishment. 10 rounds of action. And sometimes you can describe them as the best rounds of the year. We're searching through our collection and choosing what we consider to be the best of Friday night fights. Every week, only on ESPN.
The NFL on ESPN. 2 games each and every week. These guys are tough. The NFL on ESPN.
Your choice for a variety of great sports action every day is ESPN.
ESPN takes a special holiday week look back at the best of the UEFA Champions League from last year's great season. Today, high-powered Monaco takes on the legends Real Madrid.
We picked this up a little late tonight. Donovan McNabb expected to play only briefly, wound up playing an entire series, 12 plays, 63 yards to a touchdown pass, and gets the rest of the night off. But since then, the Eagles 22 plays and 22 yards. And the Rams right now to the 13-point lead in a must-win situation as Wilkins kicks off. Roderick Hood. Back to the 37-yard line. So Philadelphia still trying to pull one off and end the Rams season or postseason hopes, but it's going to be hard. 13-point game.
Simply the finest football on the planet. ESPN continues full-day coverage of the UEFA Champions League all the way through the championship game in May. ESPN, the home of the UEFA Champions League.
13 seconds remaining. This is Bateman.
both hurt. Missouri's going to win it.
Get him moving a little. Pump fake. He's hit. Oh, the ball is loose and Julius Peppers had it. So long, Peppers.
Oh, man, you know who hit him?
In on 3rd and 1. There it is. Manning down the middle, wide open. Harrison, touchdown. That is number 47, and he is 1 touchdown pass away from history.
Feely going to the end zone again. And it is caught by Darius Thompson.
The NBA on ESPN is back for a new season, and we've got you covered with the week's hottest live matchups, plus highlights and more on NBA action. The NBA on ESPN. Don't miss a minute. Best of Friday Night Fights on ESPN. In 2002, Southwark Asim the Dream Umo was an up-and-coming star in the light middleweight division when he faced an experienced Michael Lerma on his way to a top 10 ranking. Friday on ESPN.
ESPN Sports Center after the game from St. Louis. Flippity clop. I bet on that horse once.
He's still running for you.
Yes, he is. Here he comes.
He'll get there. Don't give up yet.
5:18 to play. 37-yard line. Blake. And runs for a nice game. You know, John, I'm thinking the Eagles are a little bit like, if you made a baseball analogy, the Oakland A's. A's have won 90 or more games 5 straight years, and they're the first of 17 teams not to get to the World Series in such a circumstance. And here are the Eagles, 3 championship games in a row, having to get to the Super Bowl. You take a look at that 5-year streak, 10 more wins without playing in the Super Bowl. There's a look at the A's. So there's Moneyball, and then there's out of the Moneyball. Of course, the Eagles hope to break their little stretch this year as Reno or Thomas Tepe carries the ball, and another flag at the 44. And let's check in with Michelle.
Well, the Eagles have 9 Pro Bowlers, as you've been mentioning, and guess what else, Al? They're going to have just over $15 million of salary cap room this offseason. In addition to that, they're going to have 5 draft picks in the first 3 rounds. I spoke with team president Joe Banner. He said, you know, the offseason goals are not set in stone yet, but he expects to have in the area of 19 of their 22 starters back, be in position to retain a lot of their own guys, and even make some additions. So the future looks bright in Philadelphia.
Yeah, and it's amazing, too, to think that you have a team, and they've been so good for a number of years now, and then they go out and they can afford a Terrell Owens and a Javon Kearse, 2, you know, gigantic additions. And then there are other teams that are mired in the muck and tell you they can't afford.
And they're mired in the muck because of poor organizations. I mean, you talk about the Oakland A's in baseball, you talk about the Eagles, and these are good organizations, and those records of winning and stuff I take as a plus. You know, I know it's easy to say, yeah, but they haven't won a championship. And you know, if you look at, there's 32 teams in the league, and they're better than 29 and not as good as 2. So if you panic when you're not as good as 2 and you don't win that one, then I think you slide down. I think when you stay upbeat, and they've done it for 3 years, and what did Bum Phillips say? We're going to keep kicking on the door until we knock it down. I kind of have that same feeling about the Eagles.
You do, and it's pretty good, too, because you would think at some point you'd have that hangover that we all talk about when a team comes so close, and they come close for especially multiple times, and then all of a sudden, and how are we going to get this back together again? You know, and they've been able in Philadelphia to do it with tremendous consistency, and then they get down to that game in January.
Snap, false start, number 77. 5-yard penalty, still 2nd down.
Eagles played the Rams for the 2001 championship right here. And since that time, you can see the Eagles, a tremendous record. The Rams are only 4 over 500. And the Eagles this year, talking about Pro Bowl players, send 9, and the Rams send 1.
Yeah, the Eagles have been on the uptick, and the Rams are on the downtick.
And that would have clearly ended the game there, as Tommy Polley had a chance to pick it off but couldn't. 3rd and 15.
You know, you wonder how the Eagles are going to feel after this one. Remember last Monday night when we're at Miami, New England came in there, they only lost 1 game, and everyone was saying, this is one of the best teams in all of football, and Miami beats them. And I'll tell you, it was a tough week for New England. Now, the way the Eagles are playing tonight, I don't know if it's going to be a tough week for them, but doggone it, it's a regular season. A loss is a loss. It's
a loss, and now next week you've got another game that doesn't mean anything against Cincinnati. Doesn't even mean anything to Cincinnati as Blake throws deep. And with a jump ball there, it's incomplete, intended for Billy McMullen. Butler and Fisher converge. So with the Eagles, you've got this game tonight. We've been talking about throughout the course of the game. And then next week, Cincinnati. And then they're off. And then finally, the weekend of January 15th and 16th, they'll play a game that means something, and it's going to mean everything.
And then you hope when you have to turn it on that it comes on. I mean, I don't know that you can turn it off, shut it down, and then 3 weeks later turn it on and be great. I don't know that.
Kurt Johnson's kick. 18-yard line. McDonald taken down on the open field at the 19-yard line. And there's a flag down.
Because I will say this, I mean, the Eagles shut it down.
There's no foul on the play for Neilio blocking it back by the kicking team.
They've had 2 or 3 of those, haven't they, when they threw a flag and said, we're just kidding.
Yeah. After a penalty-free first quarter, tons of them since.
ESPN Sport Legends presents John McEnroe.
McEnroe is a New Yorker. He's a New Yorker in his crassness and his rudeness and his savvy, how cagey he is, how smart he is, how street smart.
A lot of what people have viewed as sort of classic McEnroe is classic New Yorker. You walk around the city in such a defensive crouch most of the time, You have to protect yourself physically, you have to protect yourself emotionally.
Your skin gets thicker, which in a way is sad because you're sort of cynical of this whole thing. It was a sense of confusion about that, but it also seemed sort of exciting.
People like that he's so candid, I think.
Is that too goddamn far away from you to see? 4 feet too far to see?
There's an old saying, you can always tell a New Yorker, but you can't tell him much.
Best of Friday Night Fights on ESPN. In 2002, Southpaw Kassim the Dream Umo was an up-and-coming star in the light middleweight division when he faced an experienced Michael Lerma on his way to a top 10 ranking. Fridays on ESPN.
A reminder to our Latin American audience, tune in on Sunday to our next edition of Perfiles, where we profile legendary boxer Alexis Arguello. Check the time in your area of the world for this next great edition of Perfiles. For now, we go back to the last 4.5 minutes of this Week 16 edition of Monday Night Football.
Inside the dome now. A lot of the folks have gone home. Feeling pretty confident about the Rams' chances. And in come the Jets next Sunday in a game that the Rams again will have to win and also get a little bit of help on the side to get to the playoffs. 19-yard line, first down. Essentially, they'll need a loss by either Seattle or Minnesota. And let's go to Michelle.
Well, Al, we shouldn't be laughing because this is an injury report, but it's not serious, so a little levity's okay. But Steven Jackson has a bruised right knee. He's been on the bench. He's getting it iced. He's laughing and smiling. He's clearly done for tonight, but it doesn't appear to be anything serious. But we wanted to make sure that people knew. Bruised right knee, and while he won't return tonight, it doesn't look to be too serious. I can't imagine him staying out for next week, but we can't predict those things, right?
Exactly right, and it's a short week, too, because it's a Monday night game going to Sunday, so he has one less day to get to 100%. Second down and 11. And Bolger's going to take off and slide to a stop rather awkwardly. But he does. Well, it's our 35th year of Monday night. It's our final game. We're going to roll a credit package at the end with all of the great folks that help us every week, led by our esteemed producer, Mr. Fred Godelli, our executive producer, Mike Pearl, and our core little group up here with Melissa Horton running the kennel, Mark Putnam and Phil Sanfilippo every week, and up here, Audrey Mansfield, Brad Curtis.
The party's over. They say that all good things must end. Call it a night. The party's over. Believe it. And tomorrow and next year start the same old thing again.
And this show's been on for 35 years.
35 years, amazing.
We survived a lot.
Great years. I remember when Monday Night Football first started.
Where you going, man?
I think there was a real boom at that time for the NFL.
3rd and 8. Wobbly pass that almost gets picked off, and another penalty.
That's going to be one for a late hit, too. I'll tell you one thing about Mark Bulger. He's a tough guy. He never complains and takes a lot of late hits. Like Mike Martz has been trying to get him to complain.
97 defense. 15-yard penalty automatic. First down.
97, we're talking about Darwin Walker, who had been a defensive tackle in the last couple of weeks. They're playing him at defensive end. You see he's 97 there. He starts on the outside, goes on a stunt. Yeah, and then, I mean, he hit him late. He grabbed him around the head and threw him to the ground. He did about 3 things that he could have been flagged on right there. Sometimes as a defensive lineman, you come on that stunt and you break free and you see the quarterback there and you know when that ball goes out of there you have to stop, but doggone it, your instincts argue with you.
You know, Bulger that time, he's been out for 2 full games and most of a third with that sprained right shoulder. So I'm sure Martz's heart was in his throat. Bulger unfortunately fell on his left shoulder that time.
Yeah, and usually the way you get that is you get hit on the left shoulder and then you get driven into the turf on your right shoulder. And that was just the opposite shoulder, as you say there.
Philly has to take a timeout defensively, try to conserve some clock and get it back. From my boys, George Hill from Port Angeles, Washington, Malibu, Kelly Hayes. They finish up a 19th year with me in the booth.
19 years?
And not only that, we did about 7 or 8 years of college football together as well. AFC playoffs, Pittsburgh, New England, 1 and 2, Indy 3, San Diego 4. They're locked into those positions. Jets would be the 5 seed right now, and they can secure that with a win here at St. Louis, or they could even be out in the playoffs. And then Denver plays Indy. Denver right now would hold the tiebreak over Buffalo, so Denver gets to the playoffs if they win. 2nd down and 10, 36-yard line as Bulger throws, caught on a slant, and Bruce loses the ball, and then it's picked up initially by a Ram, and then apparently as Keith Adams comes in for the hit, the Rams still recover the football.
And maybe that's why these 2 wide receivers of the Rams always go down when they catch a ball inside, because when they don't go down, they fumble. We see Isaac Bruce do it here. We saw Holt do it before. Here comes Bruce. He catches that ball on that slant. And usually by now, he'll go down. He'll take the turf. He didn't take the turf. He took the hit.
He had 2 at the Monday night game in Green Bay. He had 4 in the last 7 games. Matt Ware with the hit. Keith Adams punched it out. But Torrey Holt comes in to recover, and that's the 2nd fumble that Torrey has recovered in this period.
Well, Mark Bulger has been very effective tonight. He, had been out for a couple of weeks and isn't rusty at all. He threw a little on Monday, then didn't throw again till Thursday. We talked to him yesterday. His shoulder really didn't feel well, but he said, once I get out there and the adrenaline starts flowing, I'm going to be okay. And I think he's doing very well. He doesn't have a lot of velocity on it, but as I said earlier, I think his accuracy has been great tonight.
3rd down and 5 from the 41-yard line. Marshall Faulk up to the 45. Philadelphia out of timeouts.
And the Rams out of Steven Jackson. I mean, this would be a time when you would have liked to have had Steven Jackson in there running that. I mean, not Marshall Faulk at the end of the game. I think Marshall Faulk is probably thinking that too, that this would be Steven Jackson's time, Steven Jackson's situation. But as Michelle said, he has a knee injury and isn't going to be playing any tonight.
Good Jackson, most since Bettis with the LA Rams as a rookie in '93. Philly can't stop the clock. Rams let it tick down to the 2-minute warning. Send in the punting unit. And we're 120 seconds from the close with St. Louis on top 20-7 over the Eagles.
Your choice for a variety of great sports action every day is ESPN. The NBA on ESPN is back for a new season, and we've got you covered with the week's hottest live matchups, plus highlights and more on NBA action. The NBA on ESPN. Don't miss a minute.
Our executive producer, the esteemed Mike Pearl, Bob Toms, the senior producer, the boss man, Fred Godelli, hardest working guy in show business, Drew Esikoff, our director, Steve Hurt, the greatest of all time, Joe Abenda. Nary a knuckle job this year, Joey. Mark Titleman, Valerie Fisher, Dave Chamberlain, a lot of folks go into the making of this sausage every week. Steve Nagler and the whole gang working around the clock, traveling all over the country, crisscrossing. Well, I know they do it in a lot of businesses, but we're just proud to death of the folks who put on Monday Night Football every week.
Yeah, it's my 3rd year and 3rd very enjoyable year. I mean, being with you and with this whole group that we see here. These are, as you say, hardworking people, but there's a lot of hardworking people, but dedicated, enjoy it, and just have fun with everything. And it's been a very, very enjoyable 3 years.
Fantastic. Can't think of anything that could be any more enjoyable than being a part of this. As Kevin Stemke sends it down to the 13. Fair caught there by Dexter Wynn. We always give a Rookie of the Year award, Michelle Tafoya. A phenomenal job. Just great. I think she set a new standard. You've been fantastic. I've talked to the powers that be. They're going to give you a little time off right now. We got before basketball. Yeah, you get 6 or 7 days.
That's good. Well, I'm honored by that, Al. Mostly the time off more than the Rookie of the Year thing. It's been great. You guys, you're the best. What can I say? This entire crew is phenomenal. It's for a first year, it's just been a dream. I mean, everyone, like you said, works incredibly hard. This is just the best job a gal could have.
Beginning of a long run for you. This is going to be terrific as Jeff Blake goes back to pass and has his arm hit. Tommy O'Connell, I guess, is the senior member of. There is Tommy, who's been around for a lot of those. 29 of the 35. I have to give Tommy away here. He's a Giants fan. He's an unbelievable New York Giant-like maniac, and he has a camera positioned at the Super Bowl in Tampa as the Giants against Buffalo, and Norwood's kicking the field goal to win the game. And Tommy, at that point, he can't even look. He sets the camera. He won't even look to the viewfinder. He closes his eyes, and all I said was, no good, wide right. And Tommy started crying. It was some scene.
He opens his eyes to cry, huh?
Right. L.J. Smith drops it.
Now, I don't think there's any place that any of us would rather be on Monday night.
Yep. Burner. Dave Bushner right there. Vandy. Yeah, man, right there. Got to go by all the nicknames. Big Mark. And the Zaxter, always wearing shorts.
It looks just like Andy Reid.
Yeah. 2nd and 15. Freddie Mitchell. Up to the 29-yard line. Dana. Happy New Year.
I was down on the field talking to Tammy Reid, Andy's wife, before the game, and pointed out Zach, and I said, "Who's he look like?" She says, "My husband."
Thomas Tepe. Tammy Reid told me before the game last year, Andy looks, he's a football coach, and if you don't know him, I mean, he's got a great heart. He actually gave his wife a ring last year for Christmas. Blake's pass is incomplete. And how sweet is this? Andy got down on his knees and renewed his vows as he gave her the ring.
That's great. He's a great guy. There's Tammy Reid right there with. She's wearing a lot of stuff that glistens tonight too.
Oh yeah.
You see that wave there? That's what she got for Christmas. That's a what do they call those things? I think it's a diamond bracelet is what it is.
Got a bracelet, yeah. She's got that NBA look, just the one earring.
No, knowing Tammy, she lost the other one. en route to her seat.
False start, number 66, offense. 5-yard penalty, 3rd down.
I think what Tammy would really want is for the next piece of jewelry to go to Andy on his ring finger.
Yes, that big one. That's what they're all in it for.
Well, he's going to keep the wedding ring on, and then a Super Bowl ring, I guess, would go on the right ring finger, right?
Yes. Now Andy got down on his knees.
That's what Tammy told me before the game. That's my source. I mean, I have reliable sources.
The story would be how he got up.
As Paul Harvey would say, that's the rest of the story. Thomas Tepe up to the 39-yard line. Post-game show, the horse trailer. Highlights and interviews. There you go.
Tammy Reid.
The whole collection here tonight.
She's glistening all over.
You know what Tepe is the injured Eagle. Injury here. 10 seconds comes off the game clock. An injury in this situation. Look at how he gets hurt right here. 4 Rams come into the play.
That's tough. I mean, that's one of the things, but you see it happen on all kinds of turf and grass now that, the foot gets caught in the turf and then you get hit, and the only thing that can